Welcome to another episode of Ali Live. We're coming to you here live from Luxury Escapes headquarters in Melbourne.
The sporting capital of Australia.
Definitely
Go
is.
Tigers.
Yes. Well, as Pete and Aaron have just alluded to, we are doing a sporting episode today in light of the huge week here in Melbourne, but in Australia in general. We've got two massive grand finals this weekend. Obviously this one's the more important one to us Tigers supporters, but we really just wanted to come to you today and talk about sporting around the world, how it relates to travel, what we love about sporting events around the world, and just to hear your feedback and hear where you've travelled to. And please send us through your comments about what big sporting events you visited and where you'd like to go. And so welcome Pete, welcome Aaron.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about what this week means to you when it comes to sports.
Well, I think this week is just when Melbourne and Sydney just come to life. You know, it's a long weekend for both states. You know, even if you don't love football, it's just the atmosphere in the city, you know, on the radio, around the grounds is just amazing.
Yeah, it's huge and huge. And
I'm the same. Truth is, my heart is not with AFL footy. I moved down from Sydney to Melbourne about a year ago. AFL's not my thing in a huge way, but I love big events. I love being part of a special moment, and regardless of if it's the AFL Grand Final weekend or if it's the Grand Prix early this year, I just love the energy that comes from being around when a big sporting event happens in town.
Yeah, and look, I think the great thing about living in Melbourne is that you know, one, we're probably the largest sporting city in the world when it comes to, I think, per capita and actually holding events. So it's, even if you don't love sport, I think it's hard not to get caught up in the excitement of what sport actually brings to the city. So, you know, tourists from all over the world come to watch sporting events here. You know, hotels are full, restaurants are full, there's buzz in the streets, and you can't not get caught up in it a little bit.
Even out in the suburbs, like the city, you know, it comes to life, but even in the suburbs, you know, there's people with their scarves hanging out their windows as they're driving. You know, it's just happening everywhere throughout town.
Yeah, I love it. And look, I'm a huge Tiger supporter, and I'm lucky enough that I got a ticket to the game this weekend.
The golden ticket. Well
the
done.
Golden ticket, so I'll be going to the game. Well, you put your details into a ballot, and then by some miracle I got drawn out of, I think, 86 pages worth of names, and only 12 of them actually got tickets.
And
so
you got one.
I got one.
That's
so
amazing.
I'm really, really lucky, and so I can't wait. I'm so nervous, but I think the best thing about this is that there's so much sort of anticipation coming up to the grand finals, and then this week is just a week of having fun, I think. And you know, I'm hoping it's our year, but you know, Saturday will tell.
Fingers crossed.
Well, if you made, you know, that one of the 12 people chosen out of 86 pages of names, then it's a good sign. You know, it's a good week for you, Sonia. Lady Luck is on your side.
Well, I hope so. Look, we you know, Dusty won the Brownlow, and Dimmer won the Coach of the Year award last night, and
Alex Dimmer.
Damien Hardwick.
Come on, mate.
When you said you don't really follow AFL, you're kind of giving that away.
So how are you going to be spending the grand final weekend? The grand final day on Saturday?
Yeah, I think I'm probably just going to maybe go into Richmond, I think. And then, you know, just...
They're closing Swan Street, right?
No, I don't think they're closing. I think they're just slowing, you know, making the speed limit, you know, about 40 kilometres, because there's going to be a lot of people on the roads.
Sit down and watch the big screen.
I don't think cars are going to be able to get through.
I might just even just go into Richmond and just have a few drinks, and then do the March to the G, and you know, maybe try and find a screen somewhere and watch it.
Yeah. So
it should be good. But you know, it doesn't just start on Saturday morning. You know, it really starts Friday morning for the Victorians, because you've got the long weekend. It is. You know, there's the grand final parade in the city, so there's so much you can do around town.
There really is, and I think they're expecting close to 30,000 people coming in from around the country just into Melbourne just for this game. And then I think, now we don't want to make it all about AFL in Melbourne, so we've got the Sunday grand final for the NRL in Sydney.
Storm and the Cowboys.
Storm and the Cowboys, so
Melbourne
again.
And I think they have the day off on Monday, don't they?
They do.
So what's better? Would you rather have it before the grand final or after? I personally would be after, because if the Tigers get up, I'm going to be feeling pretty shady on a Monday morning.
Aaron, if you choose to come to work on Friday, You're very welcome to.
Sick day, guys.
I don't think Richmond supporters are really going to care whether it's Friday or Monday.
No.
I think they're taking the rest of next week off
I
as
think
well.
so,
It's a long time coming. There'll be a
Correct.
lot of sore heads next week, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So,
And then one who's going to win out of the Storm and the Cowboys as well, so that's going to be a great game.
yeah, I think so.
Sorry to interrupt. I was going to raise a third Australian sport, which is jelly bean judging. And after the AFL and NRL grand finals, I think the other big question is about who's going to win. The other big question is how many jelly beans could be in this jar?
Wow, okay. That's probably on par with who's going to win on Saturday and
Yeah.
who's going to win on Sunday. So send us through your guesses for the jelly beans, but also send through your comments on who you think is going to win this weekend. If you've got any tips for anyone who's coming into Melbourne or Sydney and they're not really sports fans, what else can they do whilst they're in Melbourne and Sydney? And I guess really for you guys too is, if people are coming into Melbourne this weekend, what's your sort of top tip for them to do if they don't have tickets to the grand final, which is likely that they won't?
Yeah, it's fair to say like 99% of Melbourne doesn't have a ticket to the grand final, except Sonia does. Aaron and I, we don't. So what we make do. I'm with you. My sport, my interest in AFL is limited, but I'm going to be part of the moment. So I'm also going to be taking my mum who's in town, and we're going to be heading to Swan Street as well. Hopefully there are no cars moving, but we'll find a pub or a park or somewhere just to be part of that energy.
Correct. Yeah.
And let's just hope for the best.
Yeah, and I think it's really important for people to come into town as well, or people going to the city. You know, get the public transport in the city. It's going to be so much easier to get around.
Leave your cars at home.
Yeah, and then don't drink and drive. Just leave the keys at home and have a good day.
Well, I think if you try and drive on grand final day, it's a joke. There's no chance of you moving.
It's like going to the races in Melbourne as well. Everyone gets a train in there.
And it's really fun. The good news is also Melbourne's extended the free tram zone to include trips to the G on grand final day.
Yeah. Very important.
Yeah.
So what other events do you guys generally go to with sport? Have you been overseas for any sporting events?
Look, I don't. I've never planned an actual holiday around a sporting event because I'm not. Let's face it, I'm not all that sports centric. However, I do love. Beg to differ. I do love being in another country when a big major sporting event's on, because I think it sort of brings the next level of life to wherever you are. But I also, funnily enough, plan visiting certain sporting events when I'm in a particular city. So in New York, for example, going to the Yankee Stadium and watching a baseball game, or in Brazil going to a soccer stadium and watching a soccer game or a football game, to those watching outside of Australia. Locally, and it makes you feel like you're a local. It makes you feel like you're actually living there and experiencing something that the locals do.
It's so much easier to get involved in the city when there's a big sporting event on. Like I've been to Singapore like probably every year for the last 4 or 5 years, and then I was lucky enough to be there during the Grand Prix one year, and just the atmosphere was totally different. It was a total different experience, and I had so much more fun on that trip than I did on any previous trip.
Yeah,
to Singapore.
just brings it to life, doesn't
it? Does. Like
yeah.
the restaurants are buzzing, everyone's walking around town, with big foam fingers. You can hear the cars going past.
It's about to take place, isn't it? Like it's about a few weeks away now, the Grand Prix.
No, I think it just happens. Yeah, recently.
So being the sports enthusiast that you are, clearly, Pete,
yes.
what have you been anywhere in the world when a big sporting event's been
betcha. Like you betcha. Like I went to the national beanie contest in Ayers Rock. With my mum. Shout out to Mum. She's one of the biggest viewers of LA Life. One of the most special events of my life was going up to the Sydney Olympics, and I was up there with a few mates, and we drove my little tiny Toyota back and forth between Melbourne and Sydney. Back when I was living in Melbourne to Sydney, and it was. Again, I'm no great passion for the sports I saw. Like the tickets to the big events were sold out, so I was seeing really quirky things. But being there and being part of that experience was epic, and it was an experience that myself and the two friends would never find somewhere else. So Sydney, my big one. I've actually in fact brought a memento from my time in the games. Thanks, thanks Emily, our producer.
Would you like me to hold the jelly beans and the footy?
This is why I volunteered during the games, and this has been kept in a steel plastic bag.
You should frame it and pop it up on your wall.
You think so? Maybe. So. How about the office?
No, I think on your wall at home.
The wall at home.
But I mean, the Olympics really do. If we talk about sporting events that are specific to a particular country, I mean, AFL really is only an Australian sport generally. the Olympics is something that the whole world gets involved in, and it just, you can just imagine when you're watching it on TV at night, and someone else is sitting in their home in Shanghai watching it on their TV, and or Russia or wherever it is in the world, and it just kind of connects the whole world. And I think when you work in travel, especially, that part of really excites me, is that it brings the whole world together.
And it's amazing how many people actually travel for sporting events. Like you travel around the US, and there's these towns that have got a population of 13,000, but then they have these stadiums that accommodate 80,000 people. And it's just amazing that they can actually fill these stadiums when people don't even live there.
We're even looking to Sydney and Melbourne in the weekend ahead. I think there's 30,000 interstate or overseas visitors expected for the grand final on Saturday, and then on Sunday in Sydney there's about 40,000 expected, and the dollars that brings in is massive.
Huge. Yeah.
Also the sense of excitement, and the fact that international visitors want to be part of our sporting culture is huge.
Yeah.
Totally.
We've got some, back to my favourite sport, jelly beans. Thank you, George. George has guessed 138 jelly beans. We're going to defer to Emily. Higher or lower? Higher. There's more than 138, which means that Paul, who thought 89, is below the line. But Linda, who suggested 202, is, whoa, okay, this is good. She's too high. So it's somewhere between 202 from Linda and 138 from George.
Wonderful. Keep sending them through, and send us your feedback on sporting events around the world that you've been to, that you love, or that you perhaps want to go to.
Yeah, where do you want to go to if you had a pick?
I think I'd like to go to something like the US Open or something tennis related. I think I'd love to go and be in London when the tennis is on there.
I tried out to be a ball boy once.
Did you?
Yeah, as a kid. I so wanted to be part of this. My hand-eye coordination is limited at best. Yeah. But year after year after year, I tried, and it didn't quite make the cut.
Yeah,
that and Australian Idol.
I think. I mean, it's not a major sporting event in the world, but just because you mentioned the towns in the US, I would love to go to a college football game.
A college football game.
I just think the whole we've grown up watching American movies, and most of them have got some sort of element of sport involved, and the whole college football game and the crowds that come in and the cheerleading and the mascots and everything. I just think it's such a community feel, but such a buzz, and I think I'd love to do that.
I know, because pretty much in those towns, like their whole life is college football.
Yeah. It really
so
is.
So they get really, really passionate about it.
Did you say you've been to a baseball game in the States?
I went to a baseball game at the Yankees Stadium.
Yeah, I've done the same. Amazing.
And it's cool because
long, but it's amazing.
It's so long. It's so long. As boring as golf for me, but just the idea of being there, having a hot dog and a beer, and buying those foam
giant
fingers.
hands.
I just you get caught up in the buzz of it all, and Yankees cap, and really touristy, but I loved it. Yeah.
Okay, so Sporty Sonia, we've had a question in from Paul, who's asked any tips on securing NFL Super Bowl tickets, unless you're like Lady Gaga. We'll jump in through the ceiling, but
I think there are actually some companies in Australia who work directly with sporting companies around the world, and they secure tickets. I can't think of one at the moment off the top of my head, but I will have a think about it, and we can message you directly and let you know. But I know that they do allocate, even here at the grand final, they do allocate a certain amount of tickets to particular sporting associations or competition giveaways and things like that. So we'll come back to you and let you know, Paul, where to look for those tickets.
Thank you.
That's okay.
We'll get back to you, Paul. We did some research before, and we found that, of course, the World Cup and the Olympics are the epic international contests that people travel anywhere to go to.
Yeah.
But beyond those, the five places people go for big sporting events are, the Championships League, of course, if you're a soccer fan.
Actually, sorry, just because you said that, I forgot, but I was there last year by accident, completely by accident, but I was in France during the UEFA Cup, and it just happened that Germany and France were playing off for, I think, the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but I think it was the quarterfinals. And the buzz in Nice was beyond.
That's
awesome.
It
was crazy. It was like there were fan zones set up everywhere, and there were people from all over France, but all like tourists that were there as well.
Yeah.
And so the places were full, and it was just such a buzz. And France won, actually. I think it was 2-0 in the end. and the night just went off.
On.
Yeah, it was just crazy. Everyone was celebrating, jumping in fountains, letting off flares.
When you were at the Tour de France as well?
I was actually. It was like a week later.
I think you are a nut.
I'm so not by default. I think, but I mean, it just goes to show that it just goes to show though that when you're traveling and you happen to be there during a sporting event, even if you don't follow the Tour de France or the soccer, you kind of just want to be there so you can sort of take that photo and be in that moment in history. And I think that's beautiful. And you were saying earlier that. Obviously, the Grand Prix in Singapore. Is it called the Grand Prix in Singapore, or is it a different type of...
Yeah, it's the Grand Prix. Yeah.
But you were saying earlier that you wanted to go to Tahiti, is it?
Yeah, to the surfing competition over there at Chopu. So I'd love to go there because it's one of the most dangerous waves in the world, and because it's out in the reef, you actually sit in the water. So you can be 20 to 30 metres away from the surfers,
amazing.
Sitting in the water on your surfboard or on a boat. It would just be amazing. And it's Tahiti. Like, who doesn't want to go to Tahiti? Seriously.
And again, you wrap that back into the whole essence of travel, and you can tie on a week at the end.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, 100%.
It's astonishing.
Yeah.
Sorry, Pete, I interrupted your research on the top 5.
Oh. Yeah, the NBA finals. Sorry, I'd love to go to the NBA. Do you know what? I'd love to go to the LA Lakers game on Christmas Day. Yeah. I think that would be awesome. Just like you see Jack Nicholson and all the celebrities in the crowd, would be an amazing atmosphere.
That'd be incredible.
Yeah.
Super Bowl, so the Championship League, Super Bowl, Wimbledon, which you'd love your tennis, the Tour de France, which you've covered, and the NBA finals, which, so we've got those 5 covered, but there's probably others, some of our people watching might have been to, that mightn't be the obvious 5 or 6 or 7 places to go for a major sporting event, just to be part of the electricity. Oh, actually, we've got a couple comments in here. Super Bowl tickets, there's good tickets for US sports on StubHub.com.
That's a bit of a mouthful.
There you go.
There.
I haven't been to that site, but
thank you for sending that through.
Feedback.
Now, we've got a comment here from one of our members, Peter. My husband and I have travelled to San Fran to go to the World Series and just came back from Madrid to see Real Madrid play. We love cheering along with the locals, even if we don't usually follow the team. And that's that whole linking it back to travel, in that, when you're there amongst the locals, you actually feel like you're a local, and that whole immersion of, people pay for these real life experiences, and you're getting it just by going to a sporting event.
That's right.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. I think the hardest thing is, if you don't follow the sport, what team do you barrack for? I think it's probably the first person that you speak to, and they kind of persuade you, who you're going to barrack for.
Yeah, I guess whoever you're sitting next to would be the other option. Because I think wouldn't it be awesome to find yourself at a sporting game, actually not having a huge passion for either team, but being next to the fan base for that team?
Yeah, I agree.
You'd be absorbed by it.
I agree.
Yeah.
And look, for anyone who's going to be in Melbourne or Sydney this weekend, whether you follow the Tigers or the Crows or Melbourne Storm or the Cowboys, everyone's going to be cheering for somebody. Everyone has a favourite or a least favourite, and they're going to be cheering for somebody. But just the buzz of it all, I think it won't really matter, really, will it?
That's right.
No.
No, it's a bit of a stretch, but I was wondering, you've returned back to the office this week.
I have just in time for the finals. Yes, just in time for the finals.
Time for the finals. Where have you been?
So I've just come back from Morocco, which I absolutely love as a destination. And I really don't know if they have any sporting events as such, because I haven't really ever looked into it, but I'm sure they do. But being so close to Spain, I'm sure that they're big, football, soccer supporters. But I've just come back, and the exciting thing is we've actually got Morocco up on our site at the moment, and we've got an awesome tour that covers the best of Morocco, and it's crazy how popular Morocco is as a destination. It's always been one of my favourites, but our members seem to love it, so it's selling out really fast. And if you've been on one of our tours to Morocco, or you'd like to go to Morocco, send through your questions. I'm happy to answer them. But great destination. It kind of engages all your senses, kind of like a sporting event where, you've got, the sight, the sound, the smell of it all, and the taste. Morocco is pretty much all of that for me. Yeah.
Because the two of you have some of the best jobs on the planet. Like, You've just returned from an amazing holiday too, but you've returned from road testing the Morocco tour that we're offering to members.
Yeah, and
that's
look,
not a bad gig.
It's not a bad gig. I mean, it is hard work, but someone's got to do it, and I'm happy to put my hand up to do it all the time. But
we're grateful.
we just, Aaron and I and the rest of our team, we just want to make sure that whatever it is that we're presenting to our members is actually great travel product.
Yeah, we just want people to have great experiences.
Yeah, exactly.
And, just trying to find places that, the hotel's amazing, but, there's other amazing things around the hotel as well. So, whether it's the food, the culture, the sporting events, and just give people the accessibility to go and experience it.
Now, tell us a bit about the tour, the Morocco tour.
Well, it's a 10-day tour, so it starts off in Casablanca, which everyone kind of, when they think of Casablanca, they think of Humphrey Bogart, and there are elements of that there. And when you go there, the romance of it all. But it goes through Fez, which to me is one of the most beautiful UNESCO World Heritage listed cities in the world. It's just absolutely stunning. Through the desert, so through the Sahara Desert, which I happened to do on this trip as well. And let me tell you, the sand, the colour of the sand, and as far as the eye can see, and sort of standing in the middle of nowhere and just seeing a sky full of stars at night with very little sound, but some music playing. It's pretty amazing. It's definitely one of my best travel experiences. And then we finish off in Marrakesh, which, let's face it, it's one of the most exotic cities in the world. And it's a pretty great trip. And honestly, if anyone's ever thinking of doing Morocco, doing it as part of a tour just means that everything's taken care of for you. It's safe. You're with the local. We've chosen the best hotels for you to stay in with, our hotels at the Sofotels, and some of the most amazing desert camps. And it's just
desert camp.
Yeah, so
we talk about glamping in Australia. Is it the same over there?
It's the same sort of thing. So it's your camps are set up in the middle of sand dunes, and there's nothing around you other than sand. And the local Berbers are working at the camps, so they're beautiful people, and they share their culture with you, and it's pretty amazing. Yeah, so jump onto our website and have a look, and if you're thinking of going to Morocco, this is your chance.
So from Morocco to the Rugby World Cup, Emily's been in contact. Thank you, Emily. And she said she was there a few years ago. It was a great atmosphere. Still don't like rugby, but she loved being a part of that moment.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is kind of consistent with the feedback, with our own experiences. We're not always there for the sport itself to be part of, but to be part of the moment.
That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, do you obviously you love skiing and snowboarding?
Yep.
Have you been to any of those events around the world at all?
Not any of the major events, but I was in Aspen last week, and
oh God, you in Aspen. I was in Frankston.
And I just saw where they have the X Games. So they have the X Games in Aspen every year, and you can see kind of where they've dug out for the half pipe to be. And I'd love to be in Aspen during the winter, especially during the X Games. I think the atmosphere would just be amazing, and it's just such a beautiful, beautiful destination.
And have we got anything to Aspen coming up soon?
We definitely will have something coming up soon. Okay. Probably looking towards winter of next year.
Okay.
But we're going to have some amazing product for Aspen.
That's fantastic.
But along similar lines, there's an awesome offer for Whistler right now.
There is, So we've got our Needle Lake Lodge, which is in Whistler. It's actually the #1 rated place on TripAdvisor, and it's won all of these awards with Condé Nast with their spa. So we've got $14.99 for 5 nights. You can stay there. Includes breakfast, 10% off food and beverage, it's spa treatments, and a welcome drink.
Wonderful.
And no surcharge periods. So it's available during January and February, which is the 2 best months to ski in Whistler. So the snow's just amazing then. So for $1,500 for 5 nights for 2 people.
Can't go wrong.
For 2 people?
Yeah, you can't go wrong.
That's awesome.
Yeah, $750 each.
I'm not much of a skier. I actually don't even like cold weather, to be honest. But I could see myself in Whistler, actually.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe at that award-winning spa.
Yeah, I know. Or you've got your own fireplace, so just sit in front of the fire, have a wine.
That's where I'd be sitting.
And do some ice skating or something like that.
That's for sure.
Or some mulled wine.
Nice any sort of wine.
Any sort of wine in front of your fireplace.
Now, I'm just going to quickly go to Shahaban, I'm sorry if I've pronounced that wrong, must have recently joined us, guessing 25 for jelly beans. Okay, so the answer for the jelly beans is anywhere between 150 and 200, so keep them
Hold it closer to the camera.
So keep sending them through, and we'll announce a winner shortly. Now,
Do you think we should send them the jelly beans as a prize, as a reward for the correct guess?
Sure. I mean, given that we go around the world, it might be an expensive send if someone from Hong Kong or Morocco happens to get the right answer, but we'll give it a try. We'll give it a try.
The big event I'm looking forward to, sporting-wise, is the Commonwealth Games up on the Gold Coast really, really soon.
Is that next year?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's in April, so 4th to the 18th of April.
Okay.
It kicks off. And it's going to be epic. According to the Queensland government, there's going to be 100,000 visitors, athletes and officials coming into to Queensland for the event. And it's going to have a huge benefit, sort of flow-on benefit and long-term wise for the Gold Coast as well. Yeah. I think there's some tickets still available.
For other cities though, I mean, the Gold Coast obviously will be sort of the home of it, and people will be flocking there.
But people will go down to Sydney, down to Melbourne.
Exactly. It's such a great thing for Australian tourism as a whole.
And it's great for the Gold Coast, even just for the years to come, that they've got all this infrastructure that's being built, so now they can have bigger sporting events, and they can get some of the AFL games up, bigger games up there, or some big artists and musicians coming into town, which is great for the state.
Definitely.
And we're actually off to the Gold Coast in a matter of weeks. The team from Luxury Escapes, you'll be there.
Yes,
I think you might be there.
Ellie on tour.
We're taking the road show, which we've done. We've rolled out to Victoria and New South Wales to Queensland, and we'll be spending the Monday up in Brisbane and the Tuesday evening on the Gold Coast, the Sofitel, for both events. And I think tickets are just about sold out. But if you haven't already registered and you live on the Gold Coast or Brisbane, drop us a line, and we'll see what we can arrange.
I'm sure we can squeeze people in. We're always willing to, or happy to meet our members.
If Sonia says so, we can do it.
I actually completely forgot about that, and that's another way for us to come out and meet everyone who's watching us at home or at work. If you are living on the Gold Coast or in Brisbane, please pop in and say hello and see us and tell us about what you love about Luxury Escapes and what you want us to sort of look at bringing onto our website soon.
Or what sporting events Aaron, Sonia and myself should discover up on the Gold Coast.
Yeah, now we've talked about our travels. Where are you off to next, Pete?
Oh, I'm up to the Gold Coast in 2 weeks' time. I'm off to Bali. I'm off to Bali in January. I sort of try and avoid the school holidays, so I'm counting down the days. I always find that if I have a holiday to look forward to, then life's a whole lot brighter.
Yeah,
even if it might be months away, if I've got a countdown clock going on and know that that's somewhat around the corner, then the days just feel a bit brighter.
It does.
Especially as Melbourne was having a winter that dragged on forever.
Yeah.
Forever.
So I'll be back in Bali in the second half of January with my little sister and a couple of friends.
So what's your favourite area of Bali? Like, where are you going to go and stay? Are you in Seminyak or Canggu?
Look, it's so not a sporting reason to go, but I spend a week. I love Canggu.
Yeah.
I spend a week by the beach, so Canggu or Seminyak or Jimbaran Bay, and then a week in Ubud.
Yeah, beautiful.
And did the two, and sort of risk my life insurance policy, my travel insurance policy by hiring a scooter and eating local food and having the time of my life.
That's brilliant.
It's my favourite place to travel to, and it's so accessible, and there's some awesome deals at the moment from Luxury Escapes.
Yeah, so jump on the website and have a look. Like Pete said, we've got some great deals to Bali, I think we've got some to Singapore at the moment, Thailand. We've obviously got Whistler that we talked about. Do you want to give us a quick recap of the Whistler again for anyone that's just jumped on?
Yeah, so Whistler 5 nights at Nitter Lake Lodge.
So tell us about the lodge.
So it's a beautiful lodge. It's the only lodge that's located on the lake. So they actually, you can actually do some ice skating on the lake during winter as well. It's got an amazing restaurant, amazing spa. All the rooms have fireplaces. So for $1,500, you can stay there for 5 nights.
Are you close to the lifts?
Yeah, you are, yeah. So you can walk to the lifts.
Oh, cool.
However, I'd probably just jump on the free shuttle bus and take you straight to the lift,
That's fine.
And then we've got an upgrade option as well, so a 1-bedroom suite or a 2-bedroom suite. And in the 1-bedroom and the 2-bedroom suite, you're allowed to take 2 kids up to 16 years for free as well.
That's fantastic.
So,
That's
great.
really great for families, And so it was available over Jan and Feb, did you say?
Jan and Feb, which is the best times to go skiing Whistler, definitely.
And if there's a couple of kids involved, it plays in nicely with school holidays too.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
And where are you off to next?
Gold Coast, which you just reminded me
After
of.
the GC,
and then off to Singapore for some work over there in October. But yeah, I haven't really planned the rest of my holiday year out yet, so nowhere exciting other than those destinations. But having just spent time in Morocco, it's a little bit greedy of me to want to go away again.
It's pretty hard to
quickly.
top Morocco as well. It's a pretty amazing spot.
Yeah, it really is. And again, for those that didn't hear earlier, a 10-day tour, or there's a 12-day extension, which actually I forgot to mention before, which takes you down to Essaouira, which is on the coast. So, you can do the imperial cities, you can do the desert, and then you can finish off by the seaside down in Essaouira, which is a beautiful old fishing village. And so, you can have some seafood, and if you're over the tagines and the kebabs of the week in the rest of Morocco.
I just love the extremes. You could be sort of glamping in the middle of the desert in the Sahara, and then be at a seafood town. Incredible.
And I think that's the beauty of Morocco. It's so diverse, and depending on where you are in the country, there's African influence, there's European influence, there's the Middle Eastern influence, and so there's all these cultures and cuisines and everything that's kind of been blended into the one country. And it's a bit of a melting pot, and it's a pretty great destination. Yeah.
So finally, your tips for the big games this weekend?
Well, go Tigers is all I'm going to say. Hoping for a win, obviously. I'm secretly or quietly confident that we've got this. It seems to be our year.
Will Melbourne back it up on the Sunday at the NRL Grand Final?
I really hope
I think so. Yeah, I think they should back it up.
They've had a good few years, haven't they?
Yeah, they have.
Yeah. And you're going obviously for the Tigers.
Yeah, I'm happy either way. Like, I'm so happy that they've made the Grand Final, and I'm just so happy that Dustin Martin's gotten the Brownlow. Like, he's an amazing player.
Yeah.
So I'm happy either way, but I'd really love them to win. I've been a Tigers fan all my life, so fingers crossed they can get up.
Yeah.
And the third and final big sport happening this week, the jelly bean contest. Any final hints? We've had a couple more guesses. Shami guesses 170 and Wendy guesses 150. It's higher, it's closer to 200.
Okay. So
I'm thinking the winner could be from Melbourne.
Yeah.
Well,
that's my tip.
Or
Melbourne,
someone who lives in Richmond,
the trifecta.
as a good omen for the weekend's results as well.
So what do they actually win? Are they just getting the jelly beans, or have we got something?
just the jelly beans?
Just the jelly beans.
Look, I'll give them my Sydney Olympics volunteer t-shirt.
No, you need to hold on to that. I think we've got a travel voucher to give away to them. So we'll post the details on the Facebook page once the winner's been announced. Have we got
It's getting competitive.
Oh, it's close. It's down to 2.
Wendy's guessing 175 and Shami's on 190. And we're being advised that it's anyone's game right now. It's Wendy.
187.
Wendy gets 187, and she's getting it. Not only a voucher, but 187 jelly beans.
That's
heading her way.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Just a quick one. Next week is our 4th birthday special, so tune in for that. I'm sure that there'll be some great giveaways and some exclusive deals and new deals that we're going to be talking about. But that's pretty much it from us here at Melbourne HQ. Go Tigers, go Melbourne Storm, and bye for now.
Enjoy your long weekend.
Yeah, thanks guys, bye.